If you're a copywriter or a small business owner, these 5 things are holding your writing back and are giving the wrong impression to your clients. But the good news, stick around till the end of the video and I'll show you how you can level up terrible copy with just a few super small practical tips that will help you find more clients and make more money through your writing. Hi, if you're new here, I'm Holly. I'm an expert copywriter and the founder of Empowered English, the copywriting agency that makes you money. I grew my business to $500,000 in annual revenue in just 3 years. And I did that by delivering great copy that really does make money for my clients. And in this series, I'm spilling all of my secrets on what that looks like and how you can replicate my results in your own writing. If you're a business owner and you'd like to work with me, then check out the link in the description box below. Shoot across the details of your project and we'll help you get the best bang for your copywriting buck. In the meantime, let's get into it. First up, unlike most videos that are going to cram a load of waffle into the beginning, I'm just going to get on with it and tell you the biggest copywriting mistakes that amateur writers make and that I can always recognize. But before I do, I'm going to give you a bit of a warning. Just knowing these mistakes won't make you immune to them. So for each of them, I'm going to go through and tell you why it's bad and what you can do to combat it. Get ready though, because it's going to get a little bit heavy. But if you're serious about leveling up your writing skill, then you'll want to watch this video and come back to it regularly. These 5 common mistakes, in order of where they appear in the writing process, are: number 1, having an unclear purpose to the piece that you're writing. And number 2 is being super vague or unclear. Number 3 is using too many it's or they, like third-person pronouns. And number 4 is relying on filler or hedging words. Finally, number 5, and literally no one should make this mistake, but it's about not having final checks, not reading aloud their copy, and not putting it through a spell check, all of that kind of stuff. Let's look at each of them in turn. So the first one is about the purpose of the copy. What is the purpose then? That's always a question that we should be asking. And the purpose of something is the reason that you're doing it. If you're a business owner, then why are you even bothering writing this piece? If you're a copywriter, why is your client bothering to pay you for this? More often than not, the purpose of the copy is the thing that you want your readers to do next. At Empowered English, we have this idea that a piece of copy should have no dead ends. So it should always link to other pieces of work in your content strategy, and it should have sort of like a strategic place on the sales funnel. It should include call to actions or CTAs that tell your reader what to do next. In a nutshell, this is the purpose of a piece of writing, and it's different for each piece that you will create. So let's take an example of a blog post. What is the purpose of a blog? There's actually quite a few purposes, right? It depends on what kind of like blog post you're making. But for a couple of examples, you might think of SEO, to appear in a search engine. It could be to answer a question or to add value to your reader, to get awareness for your brand, or even to share a case study. So these are all kinds of purposes for blogs. And when we look at this question of the purpose of your blog, we need to really get to the heart of your business strategy. So that might mean looking at where this content comes in your customer journey, what you want your customer to do next. If you're a business owner, you need to start to consider this right at the beginning before you even conceptualize this piece of writing. This will come at your marketing strategizing stage, where you start to think about how you want your customers to come into contact with your brand and what kind of information you want to deliver them, and also on what platforms. As a copywriter, you might be involved in this decision or not. It depends really on your client and the understanding of their content strategy. However, as a content or a copywriter, you need to truly understand the purpose of this blog post before you begin writing. So for you guys, that kind of looks like asking questions in the brief stage. Here you might want to ask questions like, where does this traffic come from? How are you going to create traffic and bring people to this page? What happens next? What do you want them to do next? What's the call to action? Where do you want them to click? We're going to be highlighting all of these things on this page. So what are the key things that we want to pull out? All of these questions are really critical when you're at this planning phase, and writers cannot write a good content piece without understanding this. It's critical to have an understanding of where this piece comes into the funnel so that you can make a good piece of content that genuinely makes money and is not just simply like a filler piece. Once you figure out what the purpose is, you need to keep it in mind through the whole way, like the entire way of writing your piece. Okay, so now you've established the purpose of your piece, it's time to start actually writing. And here's another mistake that pops up as soon as an amateur copywriter puts pen to paper, right? They're too vague. Okay, so what do I mean by this? What do I mean by vagueness? Well, copywriting is about delivering specific words to convey a message in a direct way. And the tone of your piece, the tone of each content piece varies for each business that you write for. But I also see so many amateur copywriters write copy for different products and services that could equally fit a completely different product or service. Essentially, they use generalized filler or basic descriptions, cliches. All of these are mistakes that amateur writers make that mean their content isn't really fit for purpose. Let's take a landing page as an example. So what do people need to know on that landing page? What's holding them back from making a purchase or a conversion? And this landing page needs to answer those questions, and it needs to reassure them that making a good decision, and it needs to tap into their emotional brain to provide them with an idea of what this purchase will feel like in the future. So your copy needs to answer these questions specifically. And most importantly, it needs to answer them in the headings and in the structure of the landing page that you bring. Why? Well, most people don't actually read that much of the copy on a landing page. They don't read a paragraph, but the headings jump out to them. They are the most important things. Let's look at an example to explain this. Imagine you're selling a nutritional supplement. Your customers are looking for something that helps them unlock wellness, live a long life, maybe something to resolve a symptom that they're struggling with, or like a health problem that they're facing. All of these are emotional moments that, as a copywriter, you can pick up on. So imagine as that moment where they start to take that nutritional supplement, they're finally taking their health under control. They're finally beginning that healthy new routine. Although people are buying your supplement, it's that moment that they're thinking of right now in that landing page. And it's that moment where they're finally taking stuff into their own hands. It's that moment where a good copywriter needs to tap into. So I want to get rid of vague, and instead I want to directly speak to that moment and speak to that in the copy. So now we're going to think about our third mistake that copywriters make. And it's actually quite similar to the one that we just spoke about, to number 2, that vagueness. But this mistake specifically really drives me mad. And it's the use of it or they pronouns, like the third person pronouns, instead of referring to the actual noun that we're describing. That's probably quite confusing. Let me give you an example so that you understand what I'm talking about here. Let's say we're talking about our nutritional supplement once again. I'm going to bring some text up on the screen and I'm going to show you what I mean here. The powerful formula of a Fitbit supplement gives you a boost of energy and clarity. They're filled with scientifically proven ingredients. They are clinically tested and sourced organically. So that's our text, right? So in this example, we are talking about our supplements, and that first sentence is pretty clear. But the second sentence uses a third person pronoun, they, instead of referring to the supplements directly. This is okay because it's quite clear what we're talking about still, but the they obviously refers to the Fitbit supplements, so that's the previous noun. But once we look at the third sentence, we start to get the confusion, right? What is the writer referring to here? The supplements or the ingredients? Grammatically, this is referring to the ingredients, but it disrupts the flow of thinking about this product. So now instead, I'm kind of trying to figure out what the writer is referring to rather than enjoying what the benefits of the product are. For a copywriter, this is quite a difficult mistake to recognize in your own writing because you're already in the flow of thinking about that product, if that makes sense. So it's difficult for you to see where that flow has been disrupted. And that's why in general, I say avoid these words when possible. And I can always recognize a terrible writer from their use of these kinds of third person pronoun words. So I've already told you I hate the word they, but there's another word that I really can't stand. I really hate it. And whenever I get a piece of copy from a new writer, I actually do a Control F and I search for this word directly. And it is the word can. Now, don't get me wrong. In some circumstances, in some pieces of copy, it's completely fine to use. But one of the true skills of a professional copywriter is the ability to be concise and explain complex ideas in a simple, concise way. And that means using few words and prioritizing brevity. Hedging or filler words are a problem in this, right? These are words that mean like can, may, perhaps, should. While all of them are important, obviously in some context, I'm not saying just, delete them constantly, but we should be aware of what they really mean as well. So when we use these words, we're effectively saying that there's another possibility. So let me give you an example. If I say, Fizz Beats can help you feel energized, alert, and more awake. They help you to keep going through your morning with all natural ingredients that may help you leave your coffee behind. In this first sentence, the word can also implies cannot. Can help is a terrible combo in my opinion because it means effectively nothing. Like, what does it mean? It might help you, but it also might not. And as well as that, we've got a confusion of another hedge word, may, which also means might not. So how would we solve this? Like, the best way would be just to eliminate these hedging words completely and introduce something a lot more concrete. So here's an example. We've removed the hedging language, plus we've removed any third-person pronouns to make sure that the reader is in no doubt what Fizz Beats is and how it will help them. Of course, with this rule, there is an obvious caveat, and I'm gonna get that in there before you come at me in the comments about this, but some products obviously require you to use hedging language like this by law. So an example of that would be a medicinal product or the type of product that is approved by a medical body. We can't make claims about that aren't true, obviously, especially when people's health. And it's super important for us writers to make sure things are completely true and accurate, obviously. Okay, so you finally created your first draft. Congratulations. But before you click submit, have you put this through a spell check? Genuinely, have you done this? You might be rolling your eyes here. Like, obviously, this is an urgent thing. But every single copywriter who I have hired, many of whom have been like professional writers, people with extensive experience, I've had to remind them to check their work. And not only this, but I often look for new copywriters, and over 90% of people that are out there, I see them online and they've got a mistake in the writing that they're putting out publicly to advertise their own services. It's always an average writer that hands in work to me or to your client without checking. And if you're a business owner looking to improve your own writing skills, that's why you're here, then don't click post without putting it through that final check. A Grammarly subscription, honestly, is money well spent, and this is not a sponsored post or anything like that. That's genuinely my feeling. So there you have it, my 5 most common mistakes that I see copywriters make on a daily basis, plus the ways that you could avoid them in your own copy too. If you enjoyed this video and if you learned something, make sure that you like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. It all helps me get engagement and just reach more people on my mission to banish average copy. And if you're a business owner and you watch this video looking to improve your own writing skills and you're thinking, it sounds like a lot, I wish I had a great copywriter who could just do it for me, then get in touch using the link in the description box below, and I'll be so happy to talk about your project and see how we can help. In the meantime, thanks for joining me. Make sure you subscribe and I'll see you next time. Bye.